So there's a very interesting occurrence going on right now. Pokemon Sword and Shield was just announced, and I mean, not necessarily just announced. I mean, I'm making this a little while after it's been released. But what was really funny is that after it got released, there was massive amounts of fan art for the game. Fan art and memes just popped up out of nowhere. And unsurprisingly, people already have started doing cosplays. Jessica Nigri, which we all know, and she came out with a cosplay of Score Bunny. And I like this cosplay, so you know what? I've decided that I'm going to do my own interpretation of it and for this. Alright, so I'm at a point where I have my basic block out, and it's looking pretty good. I'm just actually going to move the head back a little smidge. Maybe to about there. Yep, alright, so maybe I should... Ooh, that looks good like that. Alright, so now what I have is just the basic block out of where everything is going to be. So, I've got the body, got the legs, arms, and a little quick thing is that if you're ever working with Z-spheres, what you can actually do is if you hover in between two of them and you get this little mark, you can actually place one directly in the center. And then if I go to scale, I can actually scale up or down and create, you know, that bicep shape or whatever. And I can do the same thing here. So I'm going to go a little up this way. And click. Why are you not doing anything? Oh. Oops. Boink. Alright, then I can go back into scale mode. I was already in scale mode. And I can bring this up a little bit, and you create this muscle information that's in here. So, quick little things like that. I'm going to leave the hands and feet kind of more separate. Well, probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of those. I'm actually going to kind of cheat with the hands and feet, though. I just rhymed. Inadvertently. Hi, Penny. Do you want to be in the video too? Do you want to be in the video too? Do you? My kitten.
Hi, little Penny. This is Penny. Hi, Munchkin. Hi.
Alright, now that our kitten break is over, let's go ahead and jump into the next step. So the next step is to actually turn this into a skin, and if you go down into, if you go down into adaptive or unified skin, it'll give you, okay, I hate that it did that, subtool, open, and it'll give you these different settings here. So if you hit make adaptive skin, it creates it, but then you actually have to append it back into the scene. So you hit append, and Z-sphere skin, shut that off, and boom. We have an adaptive skin that was created from the Z-sphere. And we're not going to delete the Z-spheres just yet because we can probably still use them later on. Excuse me. But as you can see, we have a very basic geometry for which we can use in our sculpting. So let's see, do I have, yep, symmetry is on. So I'm going to go back down to here in geometry, and I'm going to divide this a couple, wait. Well, what do you know? It already has the subdivisions done, or it's been dynameshed already. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just smooth the rest of this out. And then from here, we're going to be able to start doing the basic block out for the rest of the proportions. So now that I have the clay build done, I can actually just go in and start blocking in certain things. Alright, so I decided to go ahead and try something. What you saw me doing was I made what's called an alpha. Hi. If you go into here, you've got all the different alphas, and you can actually use these to create, you know, certain textures. Like, I'll grab this one here. And depending upon what you have this set to, you can have it be all kinds of different patterns. So I've set it to the drag rectangle. So if I click and drag, it creates that pattern in 2D space. When you turn it, it goes to the rest of the geometry.
Hi. Penny, do you want to join the video, or are you just going to keep on talking?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it on drag, and then I'm going to hit import, and I'm going to go to where I have this thing saved out, which is on my desktop. I'm hoping it'll work. I hope. I don't know how it's going to. Okay. Holy crap. Well, I guess I have to invert it. Alright. Holy shit, it actually might work. I mean, it's a little rough, but that might actually work. So it was just a test, but I think it actually could work. I'll have to play with it a little bit more, but I think I've got something. At a loss of how I'm going to try and create this head. Well, I'm going to save out this file and then I'll get back to it later on. But I am enjoying how the torso itself is looking. Like, that's really good. I'll have to change the breasts a little bit. I'll probably do that after I do the retopology. But I gotta do something about the head, because obviously the head is important to the character. So I gotta think of something. Alright, so here's what I'm trying to do is, let's say that the center of the face is right about here and to about here. So what I'm trying to do is at least, you know, create the eye going in somehow from here. That's probably a little too high now I'm looking at it. Let's see. Maybe somewhere like this. The problem though is because I don't draw anime. And now I'm not, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, don't draw animes, I'm not. No, that's not what it is. I've mostly always gone for either very cartoony or very comic book. I've never gone for anime, even though I am a huge anime fan. You can see from that, and then if the rest of my stuff was here and not packed up in boxes because I'm going to be moving the next couple months. I draw like comic book, cartoon, and pinup style. So for me, it's more so just it's a style that I'm not familiar with. That's really all it is. It's just I can't draw anime. But I'm gonna at least try and do this because I want to finish this because it's something that I really want to do. And that's that's kind of what happens. That's kind of the major issue I'm having. Is just I don't understand how I'm supposed to create this from a side perspective. So I'm actually coming together with a design that I'm feeling really good about. Her eyes are a lot further down than I thought, so she has like this massive forehead. But I mean, I can probably fix that in low poly. Like what I think I'm gonna do is when I get to low poly and when I do retopology in Blender, I think probably if I round out the head a little bit more up here, kind of like that, it might be good. So for right now, I'm gonna need to create the mouth. So let's see. Like right about there, perhaps. And that looks good. Let's see what I can do. If I decide to come into the video. Hey, Danny. Now, just gotta do the Z-ray mesh so I can get some good edge flow. And that should be good. Let me bring it to half. Let's see what it does, Penny. She's just chilling in my lap. You see her head. Alright, and we have some decent edge flow. So that's good. What I think is the best thing to do is to go ahead and export this stuff into Blender so I can do some extra work and also get this stuff retopologized together. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to open up a node editor just for the hell of it. So I have what's referred to as an IBL setup, so I'm going to have her render out the scene. You can see that there's some light coming into her, and you can see the environment in the back. So an IBL is basically, it literally stands for image-based texture. So it's a texture, it's a 360 image capture that's been spliced together, and then you use it for lighting. And image-based lightings are great because they actually, oh sorry Penny, they produce their own set of lights, so you have to do so much lighting, but when you do add lighting, it adds some more depth to it. So I'm gonna add in a lamp, sun, bring this, oh, where'd it go? Bring this up, over, do a partial render, hit Shift Z, and I'm going to rotate this around a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and actually add in a material for this girl. So I actually have a bunch of materials that I've set up on my own. So I've got stuff like anime, dust, metal, paint, and I'm going to use, what will she look like with skin? With skin shader. So the next time you see this video, I will be wearing a different shirt, and I will be working on the retopology. I'll bring that back into ZBrush, do some extra detail work, bring it back into Blender, do the clothes, bring the clothes into ZBrush to do the detail work, and I'll get my... then I'll probably have to re-topologize the clothes because I'm not going to rely too much on normal mapping if I want to get this exported and printed. But, yeah, so with a little bit of movie magic, so 1, 2, 3, and we're back. So I've got kind of a predicament on my hands. See, I'm not really too happy with the way the head looks right now. I mean, if I render it, it doesn't look too bad. That's because it's rendered. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad as the render. Let me put the light back in the scene. There we go. So it's not bad like that, but I need to try and edit the proportions a little more. Or, like, edit the face just a little bit better. Change the eyes up a little bit. So I think right now it's best to go ahead and jump into the retopology phase and get everything cleaned up, then back into ZBrush to do some extra editing. So I'm at a very decent point. There we go. I'm at a very decent point in the overall topology so far. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. And from here I can go in and... That weird deviation from there. Yeah, it's because of the way that the eyes were sculpted. I'm going to go ahead and apply the shrink... another one, shrink wrap. Yeah, so that's pretty good where it is. I still got a long ways to go, as you can see. But I am happy with the result that I have right now. I'm going to give her the exact same material that we gave the other mesh. Smooth shading. Yeah, so she's looking pretty good. I'm probably not going to get the rest of this done tonight, only because of these factors. Alright, everything's closed back off. Recalculate those normals. And we're looking good. So, I'm a lot happier with the result. I mean, what I'm going to obviously have to do, though, is I'm going to duplicate that, apply, apply, and apply. So, obviously, what I'm going to have to do is that when I'm done with all of this, I'm going to have to probably edit the proportions a little more. The eyes look decent now, but I can still probably bring them up just a little bit. This is why having the low-res version like this is so much easier, and that's why the zero mesh in ZBrush is so awesome, is because it brings down the geometry to a basic flow of the rest of the model. So it makes it easier to sculpt on, makes it easier to edit. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of playing around in order to get like the exact head shape and proportions I want. That looks pretty good like that. But yeah, so this one's just I just did that as an example. It's going to be a while before this is truly at a point where I think I can use it for anything. I'm going to have to go in and do a lot of editing. Probably the one thing I'm going to have to figure out how to do is getting the eyes placed in. Actually, let me do something really quick. Yep. And then obviously this is going to eventually be eyelids. What I think I'm probably going to end up doing, though, is actually creating the geometry. Let me get rid of all that crap. I'm probably going to end up creating a little bit of geometry that goes across her eyes, like right about here, halfway. That way, when I go to do blend shapes, I can actually have a control for it to go up and down. Really easy. So I'll have an eye that when it's fully open will look something like this. Like that, and then when finally the eye is, you know, blend shaped and everything like that, it'll be able to close up almost completely perfectly. Like that. So it's just a lot that I have to go over and get done with. I mean, this is far from done, like I keep saying, but I'm at a good stopping point for tonight, or at least for right now. I'll probably come back to it later tonight. My friends and I are probably going to do some games. So I'm just going to do another time skip. So 1, 2, 3. I'm not even going to bother with the snap because I just woke up. Alright, so back to what we were doing. There we go. Alright, and what I'm going to do now is, it just occurred to me that even though I did the geometry and the... let me isolate. Even though I did the flow around the face, the eyes, the chest, and even a little bit around the bottom of the rib cage, I didn't really do anything for the back. And I really should, because when the shoulder moves, it also has its own form of deformation. And that's something too, is when you're retopologing, the best thing to do is to think of how it's going to move when it's rigged. So let me pull up, there we go. So the shoulder blades go like this on the back. So the best thing to do is to actually have the geometry flow in this pattern as well. So when it deforms, it all folds over itself, and then have geometry that goes like this, follows along. Put the thing down this way. Goes, follows along, extrude down there, to there, and to there, and on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, just before I get too far in the rest of it. artichoke. We are at a huge bit of progress. So the funny thing is I have a shrink wrap modifier on to kind of keep all the flow of the job of the edges perfect with the rest of the geometry, but as soon as I turn that off, harsh reality, am right? Like, wait. Expectation? Reality. I'm sorry, I had to do it. This is what happens when you don't really get, like, proper sleep. You end up becoming a loopy mess like how I am. Oh, look, my hair is starting to look better. Ooh, wow. Alright, let's get back to this. Okay, so the thing that I've been doing is I've been mostly making sure that the overall flow of the geometry matches with the major rhythm of the body. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a box junction on the knees. I did a box junction for the glutes. Probably the simplest thing to say. And then, in order to even this up, I've actually been going in with the smooth vertex option and fixing all this. Now, this is going to have a huge poly count just on the lower body after all this is done. And there's not going to be a whole lot on the face. But the great part about using a shrink wrap modifier for stuff like this is I can just add an edge loop wherever I need it to be. And it fixes it right then and there. The only issue is that depending upon where the edge flow is, it can distort the rest of it. And that helps to fix the geometry just a little bit more. Alright, so there we go. It's kind of the bogus part, is that if you're using a tablet like how I am, you have to keep the cursor on the main workspace in order for it to actually isolate select, and I hate that. But that's what I'm capable of getting. I'll fix the nose after I've applied all the modifiers. I think if I collapse the edges, I can actually do that. Yeah, that should work. Because if I collapse the edges right up here, I should probably be able to fix it. I should probably be able to fix the issue and stop it from doing anything else. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to get out of the Isolate Select. I'm going to go into another layer, and I'm going to import in an OBJ base mesh that I made a long time ago. Where are we? Oh, wait, no. Ooh, I forgot I had these. Yeah, I forgot I had these. Oh. Watch. So I actually forgot that I had this. That I did this a long time ago, but I actually have a... Come on, let me... What is this thing doing? There we go, now let me select it. I actually forgot that I had these, but I actually did this a while back. If you're working on a time limit and there are certain parts of the body that you just don't have the time to sculpt or that you don't really care for sculpting, you have body parts pre-made that you then splice back into the mesh. I created a morgue of sorts, selected, and that way I would be able to do stuff like this. And we are back. So now what I'm going to have to do is merge the hand into the body. Now, got to make sure that the hand is the proper size. That looks good. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and join it into the mesh, and it duplicates on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and edit the arm here a little bit. Now the question is, how much of the original mesh do I want to delete, and how much of the hand do I want to delete? And it looks like this line falls directly where it needs to. Alright, so it means that there's a slight anomaly that's causing it to triangulate the hand. Alright, so it's probably because, alright, so obviously it's because there's not the proper amount of edge loops on the hand or the wrist. So I gotta figure that out. Alright, so that has been added on. Now looking at this, I can definitely say that the arm needs to be shorter. And this is a great part about working in the low-res version, is I can just go ahead and scale this down normally. See how she looks. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's bring back in the camera though, and the light. Looking good. And if we add the skin shader this time, still a little bit rubbery. I gotta play with some of the normals, but not too bad. I'm also gonna add some of the proportions as well, just to make it look a little bit more like what I'm got in my head. Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the eyes. So I have an eye geometry somewhere in one of these. There we go. There it is. So I'm gonna have to edit the eyes a little bit because they are not matching just what I want. So let's see. gonna take a little bit of a break. I'll be back later on. Yeah, I gotta go meet my dad for some stuff later on today. Have some dinner over at his house, and I'll be back tonight. So, I'll be back. And I'm back. So I'm gonna continue working on the mesh. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply both modifiers, and whoa, that's a lot of geometry. So once again, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to go into front view. I'm going to box select just a little under half. There's the exact amount of geometry that she should have. I guess I didn't need to do any of that. She's basically at what is the standard limit nowadays for computer animation, though. That's like pretty much perfect. I mean, obviously the the count's gonna go up as soon as I start adding in her clothes and her hair, but I'm not too worried actually. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to pull up my reference of Jessica Nigri again, so I can at least get an idea of what to look for again when I'm making the jacket. She's got leggings and she's got the bunny ears and hair. Those are going to be a little more simple. got pretty much the main clothes done. So now the next part is going to be, obviously, the lingerie section of it. Which is going to be pretty easy, I think, because all I can do is, all I really need to do is just import in, or not import in, I'll place in a plane that I can then use the magnet tool to snap onto the waist and create the bottoms, and then do the same thing for the top. So I'm pretty much in the home stretch except for the hair and the ears. Oh. Okay. 2 things I forgot about. The gloves and the headphones. The headphones shouldn't be too bad because I can just do really basic modeling, then do the actually, I don't even have to bring it into ZBrush to do any kind of sculpt. I mean, I can if I want to, just to continue with the ZBrush thing. But, I mean, really, I can actually just do sculpting in Blender and just have that be the main thing. Let's see when I get to that. So, the first thing I'm going to need to do is start up on the lingerie. So I think I'm at a good stopping point for today. Again, I know I keep saying that, but never mind. It is tomorrow. I'm looking at my clock on my computer, and it's reading 12:25. That means it's past midnight. So that means I started working on this Saturday, and I finished with this stage on Sunday. I've been working for approximately 4 hours straight at this point. I'm gonna stop here, get some sleep, wake up early in the morning, start the hair, make the ears, make the tail, do UVs, probably some texture painting. No, actually, I should probably stop after I get the hair and ears done, then get my progress posted to Instagram so people can see. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna stop recording for now, like recording my face, but I'll still record the progress that I'm doing right now so that you can at least see all that and you don't have to hear me talk over and over again. All right, thank you so much, and thank you for making it this far, and thank you for choosing to watch to the end of the video. All right, take it easy.